Okay. So first of all, I was talking about a comet. I'm an astrophotographer myself, and I'm going to cover two short topics. So one of them is the comet Lemon, and if you can, if you have clear sky, okay, we can hear you now. Cool. If you have clear sky, just go outside and definitely take a look at it because it's a beautiful comet. It's not naked eye comet yet. We all hope that it's gonna brighten up at some point in the future. Well, in the very near future, in the next 1 or 2 weeks. With a pair of binoculars, you can easily observe it. With a DSLR camera or with a smart telescope, you can take really nice photographs. So definitely go outside. It's just left from Big Dipper in the night sky, so kind of northwest, west northwest direction. So yeah, that's one of my recommendation. The other one is I'm an astrophotographer, and this morning I traveled 2.5 hours just to see the International Space Station in front of Jupiter, and I epically failed. Well, my laptop epically failed 5 minutes before the transit. I wanted to capture something like this. So this is my previous capture. That's Jupiter with one of its moon, and in here I messed up the expo time. And a couple of 1 or 2 weeks later, this was last year, I went outside and I finally captured. Next to Jupiter, not in front of Jupiter. And yeah, Starliner was still dogged. Yeah. You remember that Starliner thing, that epically failed, David?
Yeah, and that was an epic fail from
Yeah.
last year.
So yeah, that's why it was a bit unique. But anyway, I just wanted to show you these captures because yeah, it didn't happen this morning and I was extremely sad. But we've got some happier stuff to talk about because there was a Starship launch at Starbase, and it was epic. I think finally we had a launch that we all craved for. I mean, the last one wasn't bad either, but this one,
Yeah, as Borat would say, it was a great success.
great success.
So yeah, maybe everyone was expecting or
Yes.
just hoped that something like that would be the outcome, but maybe the engineers are very happy and even Elon is happy with the result.
Hmm.
So and the best thing on all above that it was right at the anniversary of the first booster catch. So it was on exactly on the 13th of October Central Time. So here in Europe was already the 14th of October, but it doesn't matter. So it was exactly the first anniversary of the booster 12's catch, successful catch attempt. So yeah, it was written in history already. So it has to be done, but it had to be done on this day.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course, this time there weren't any catching attempts, so neither the booster nor the ship was caught. But it wasn't the goal this time. So it and this was from many reasons an end of an era. So maybe that was the most interesting part.
Hmm.
So this was the last flight of the second generation Starship, and this was at least for a while the last launch from the Pad 1 in this current configuration, because it will be rebuilt soon. So yeah, that's why they called it and then end of an era, because next time there will be a new pad introduced, so the Pad 2, and the new generation Starship introduced as well. So everything
Hmm.
will be new. The first stage, the second stage, the Raptor engines, the Pad 2, so everything what you can expect. So yeah, that's why it was quite interesting. And as we talked about previously, or before the show, I guess we can skip the ascending phase, because until or of course you can see some nice eye candy photos about the stacking operation or before the flight. the last moments on the ground. So yeah.
Just a sec. So let's let's mention that before the flight, we all knew that they're gonna do very similar stuff to what they've been doing before. So they removed quite a lot of
Mhm.
tiles, and you can observe that on some of these photos. And that's worth mentioning because a lot of people were asking on our own channel, and I can see it's these questions popping up quite frequently, that why the things that happened that we're gonna cover in a second. But so was it on purpose or it fell off? But it's absolutely, it happened with purpose. So there is this great comparison from Starship Gazer, and you can see he marked all those points where the tiles have been removed. It's interesting that ship 35, 37, 38, it's always the left one, center and left. Is there any reason for that that you know of? I just noticed that the first two is both sides and middle, but from the middle one,
Mhm.
yeah,
Maybe they
they.
can compare the two different sides.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
how
mm-hmm,
the left side would damage with the missing heat tiles, and
mm-hmm,
how the left side can survive better with
mm-hmm.
the intact heat shield. So maybe, but
Interesting.
that's only my idea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not an
Just
engineer.
Me neither. Just to mention, guys, in the chat, if you have any questions or anything to add, we are more than happy to bring it into the show. So if you know the answers to some of our questions or speculations, just feel free to shoot it in the chat section, and we're more than happy to mention that. So yeah, so I just thought that it's worth mentioning, and also there was some strange stuff on the flaps. They put some heat tiles on the other side of the flap that's not touching the plasma, and everybody was speculating why. And I think there's kind of an agreement that they were testing new attachment
Right. So the
methods.
new pin attachment points. So instead of three, they used only two, and actually that was a good test because some of the heat ties were already missing before the plasma phase. So that's why they could now, of course, gather some nice data
Hmm.
about only one missing pin, but it had a quite big effect on the attachment.
Hmm.
So
Cool.
yeah, it's better to use three pins instead of two. That's the lesson they've learned.
Definitely. Okay, so the ascent phase we're not gonna cover because luckily it was relatively uneventful. Apart from one Raptor they lost during the ascent, there was that, but eventually it came back, right? On
Yeah,
the way
yeah.
down. So we've seen this before, that they probably well, automatic, the system just turns it off if it detects some issues, but it doesn't mean it's screwed. It's just temporarily disabled, and if it relights, then
Mhm.
it works again, which was the case again with this one.
But this
Um,
time it wasn't the same engine compared to the previous flights because may
Good.
there was already maybe a pattern that uh, most of cases the engine number 5 on the middle ring was out, and this time it was the sixth number, theoretically the number 6 engine if I'm correct. So but anyway, if only one engine is out from the 33 or at the boost back burn from the 13, it's still pretty good. So
Mhm.
it was nothing to scare.
Mhm, mhm. Before we show you the actual landing, well, smashing, it's worth highlighting that at this time, so after when the landing burn starts, so the middle ring and the center three lights. So that's 13 engines. And instead of going down to 3 and then 2, this time around they did a 5-3-2 configuration, and the whole reason for that was to test for future boosters, because in the future 5 of the engines will relight just in case, just in case of as a reason for redundancy. So if 2 of them or 3 of them or one of them doesn't relight, then they still have a wiggle room. So that was yeah, there you go. So that was very nice to see, actually.
Yeah. So, and it's because of a contingency plan, if I can say that. So if some Raptors are out, then they
I
can
just said
use
it.
they can use different. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it worked as planned, so everything was fine.
Why I was a little bit how can I say? I was a little bit intrigued is that a lot of people were talking about V3 tests, but the V3 is not going to have 35 engines. So anyway, we will figure it out. Jack Bayer from NSF shared a very nice video about the landing, and yeah, so it did some hover and then
Boom.
indeed. That was very, very, very energetic. I think that's
Yes,
the term they use these days.
you can say
Very
that.
energetic event. I think this is how they say it. So yeah, let's just watch it again. So hovering ends, and then they make sure that it's not gonna float.
Yeah,
It,
the SpaceX guys never show the exactly the blowing up,
no,
and maybe
no.
it's because of reason. But anyway, there are some other cameras from which they can't hide the the explosion. So yeah,
Um, yeah, there is
NSF
one
has done a favor for us for the community.
one great photo in here. It looks like South Padre or Boca Chica has a volcano eruption, um, but it's not. It's definitely the booster flying to another dimension and saying goodbye to this world.
It's
Anyway,
flying to the heaven.
exactly. Right. Okay. So as we proceed with the flight, everything went absolutely smooth and we enjoyed it. I mean, it was so smooth, so smooth. So the deployment of the dumplings just went like they've done it like many times before.
Yeah, and this time the deployment was uh, even better as previously. So
Hmm.
previously as the first time. So that was a big a little bit bumpy,
Hmm.
but now every dummy starlings were deployed quite straight ahead.
Hmm.
So yeah, again there were 8 of them in the bay, in the payload bay, and everyone or everything was deployed at the right time. And of course, with that saying, the bay door was performing as expected. So it opened and it closed
Yeah.
um, perfectly. So everything was so smooth. And again, the in space Raptor reignition test was successful as well. So yeah, I guess we can say that both of the stages performed 100%.
Hmm. Indeed. Um, I forgot to mention something and somebody. So Astronomy Live, Scott Ferguson, who we met twice of during our 2 trips, he captured something extremely unique. So from Florida, lots of people were seeing this event, and this is from Astronomy Live. So this is Starship, so the ship 38 flying not well off the coast of Florida, but I mean this is just staggering, and there are a couple of people who captured this. Definitely visit Astronomy Live because he is a cool guy and he's doing rocket tracking. Yeah, and he's got some close-up footage as well. Look at that. I mean, this is just, and that's there. That's ship 38. I mean, how wild is that? Honestly.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. There's a even nicer bit. Yeah, this one. I mean, this is just unbelievable. I love his footage. He's tracking with a telescope. I think he's using a C11 telescope. I mean,
The timing was
honestly,
just perfect.
yes,
Because
absolutely.
infrared at that time that was already a bit darker, so that's
Yeah, it
why
was
this
dawn. Yeah.
phenomenon just could be seen like that.
Yeah, indeed, indeed, absolutely staggering. So big kudos for Astronomy Live, and thanks for sharing these amazing footages. Incredible. Okay, and then the best part is yet to come, because what happened after that is something that we have never ever seen before. It was actually quite crazy. So, Space Engineer has shared a video which is just phenomenal.
Hmm.
So, let's just talk about it a little bit, because that's something that we have never seen before. Um,
Yeah, among the let's say copy paste things, which was listed previously. So the in-flight tests, there were some pretty new and pretty interesting and exciting movements of the ship. So as you have seen on the previous slide, there was an RTLS test actually where the
just
new
just
trajectory.
explain what's RTLS, because
So
some
the
people might
RTLS
not know.
means return to launch site, because on one day the ship will be caught as well, like the booster. But of course, it's not a surprise. It comes from an entirely different trajectory. So as it will be already an orbital flight, and it goes around the around Earth at least one time. But rather, I have already read previously, maybe the first orbital flight will be about 6 orbits, if I'm correct. So it won't be coming back after one orbit, but after 6 anyway. Um, when it comes back, it has to bleed off some energy, some movement energy, and it has to orientate itself to the pad 2 tower to be caught, yeah, to be caught. And that's why it was tested at the first time with this so-called dynamic banking maneuver. And it doesn't mean any financial operation. I mean the banking, but this
Nothing
time
related to banking. Yeah.
yeah, not nothing financial, but these turning movements, they called like dynamic banking maneuvers. So it meant that the ship turned first on a right turn, or it made a right turn. No, yes,
Left.
no, sorry, a left turn, then a wider right turn, which
We have
was
a
which
note
was a
about it.
simulation. Pardon?
We have a note about this.
Yeah.
Um,
So
just
actually,
mentioning.
yeah, it was the very first time they simulated a return to launch site trajectory, and it was quite interesting to see. Uh, and of course, it was quite exciting how the heat shield will survive, or how it will withstand with the missing heat ties, what we have shown previously. So yeah, it was quite interesting to see first time how the ship can orientate itself, not just surviving the plasma phase and the entire return phase, but it could just orientate itself. So quite good job.
To be fair, when we do our commentary in Hungarian in our channel, we always a little bit reluctant on saying things when things happening for the first time. And in this one, we could see that the orientation of the ship. Uh, in here, you can't see it. I will put back in a second, a bit later, the SpaceX stream, but there is an orientation graph, not a graph, it's a visualization. You can see the ship in 3D, and we could see that it's keep on turning around
Mhm.
and changing its orientation, and that's something we did not see before. At some point we mentioned, but we were not exactly sure what is going on, and it's very nice to see that they were actually doing something like this, because this is from, you mentioned the shuttle era as the
No?
how the oh, so the shuttles, they were coming back in a similar fashion, so they had to sort of turning around and doing some sort of maneuvers, not just to bleed off the speed but also to orientate themselves. And in here they do this because, um, as you can see below, there are some these sort of the water. What is it? It's not the ocean. It's some waterways on the right, and it's
It's
not
a
a lake.
canal and the South
Yeah, the
Padre Island
canal.
and
Thank you.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it aligns itself with it. So in case if something happens, then it's not falling on habited areas.
Yeah.
So, and obviously it needs to approach pad 2 in a way that it's aligning itself properly. But it's fascinating that SpaceX is doing something like this with the Block 2, with the last generation, second generation ship. So that was so nice to see. Actually, I loved it, and especially the explanation for that.
Yeah, and actually the orientation of the pet 2 itself makes the whole story much more interesting because as you all know, or as we all know, the pad 1 or the current OLM facing directly towards to the water. But the pad 2 launch mount won't facing the water, but entirely the inland. So that's why it's quite interesting and much more difficult to orientate the ship properly to come back to the on the chopsticks, but as as few how to say, so it has to approach from the water anyway, so that's why it makes much more difficult the whole
Hmm.
trajectory, so the returning.
Hmm. So you can see here I marked the exact path, the trajectory of the ship, and
Hmm.
you can see the orientation right now, how it's spinning sort of around and aligning itself, especially here in this one. I'll show you this one here. So you can see it's kind of, it was turning around. It's very nice to see this kind of action
Yeah.
in real time. Look, if I go back, you can see how much it's like 90 degrees or even more
Yeah.
so. Yeah, crazy,
So
crazy,
so
crazy.
the ship can turn on different axes.
Yeah.
So before it was the vertical axis and now on the horizontal axis, so it's
Hmm.
beautiful to see
Yep.
everything on the first time, even on a simulation, but the trajectory and the data were showing like that, like this. So
Yes. Yeah, very nice, very nice. And then obviously the landing burn happens, and it landed on the Indian Ocean, but they were simulating the actual catch.
yeah.
So it's very nice. I think this way we had an insight look on how they are actually planning all these. So it's not just, so it has a target, and it's not just doing by gonna sound stupid, but by feelings or by sensing the conditions on the way down, but it has a complete plan how it comes back. Obviously, if something differs, so an engine goes out or things like that, it can adjust itself. But it's just very nice that they already have this simulated all the way to the ground, and I'm super fascinated by this. And
Mhm.
thank you for Joe Tagmeyer for talking about this, and also to Rocket Engineer for doing this incredible animation. I think for
Space
us,
engineer.
I'm sorry, Space Engineer. Apologies. Because for us common people, we finally understand that what's happening and why it's happening the way it does. So yeah, incredible.
And there were some phases when the G forces were shown
Hmm.
on the telemetry, and it was quite a surprise that it never gone above 2 Gs, and it's quite
Yeah.
interesting compared to from what kind of speed or from what kind of trajectory it just came back. So, and it's quite interesting because in case of the Dragon returns, for example, there is in most of the case 3 or even 4 Gs, and with the Starship, it seems, of course, it wasn't an orbital trajectory yet, so it was still a suborbital flight. But even it's quite surprise, at least for me, that it never gone above 2 Gs.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
just compared, it was less than a half G forces like a Dragon return.
mm-hmm. Yep. Um, okay. Right. So, and then eventually we've seen a beautiful landing, right? That was epic. So let's see it from the camera, from the onboard camera.
Yeah, and of course the boys, which
Yes.
meant that again the Starship was oriented quite precisely again. So,
Mm-hmm,
and even not only boys but drones were waiting for the ship return,
mm-hmm.
and it came back.
It did indeed. What we were seeing here, it wasn't shown in the videos after, as it disassembles itself, I would say. Um, and look, some flying
Some
COPVs,
COPVs.
yeah, spinning
they want
around.
they want still to fly.
I'm free.
Yeah.
Yes, and we've got some really cool onboard footages
Hmm.
that we need to show you guys because this is mind-boggling. So this is the first one that looks incredibly nice. Um, yeah, at some point it looks like it goes out of view, but I mean, just take a look at it. It's a bit worn, I have to say, a little bit worn.
It's a bit
Um,
leaky. It
yes,
has some holes, not only in the heat shield but already on the hull. So,
yeah,
and it's even survived. So it's
hole on the
it,
hole,
yeah, totally insane how it could
fire in a
survive.
hole.
Yeah, it was not fire but leak in the hole currently. So yeah, actually, what you
Well,
can see,
there was
it's
some fire as well at the
yeah, then
end
fire in
on
the
the
hole.
top.
Actually, it stands.
Yeah, so on the
So
nose cone area, they had some fire, look, some flame.
yeah, there were
Maybe not
many
from.
leaks,
Yeah, that was yeah.
and it's because mainly at the missing heat tunnel area, actually the hole was burnt
Uh huh.
through. That's
Yep.
why even the main oxygen tank and maybe the main methane tank was leaking. But because the Raptors were using the header tanks already during the returning phase, it wasn't a problem for the Starship itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, you can see some flames. And
Indeed.
even with this damage, it could survive the entire belly flop maneuver and descending phase. So
Indeed. Indeed. Um,
big
on the
applause.
on the official SpaceX stream, you could see a red little dinghy, as they say it in England. But this is the yellow
Dingy.
one. Yeah, dinghy. Yeah. So it's like a little inflatable boat. And they had this buoy camera again on it. So that's one there. That's the yellow one. And there's a red one on the other side, but it's not visible from here. And it again captured some incredible footages. I have that one as well. So this is the buoy camera facing upwards. I think it's a 360 camera, just in case if they don't know where is it coming back from.
If the ship
Uh,
it aims exactly the boy.
yes, yes. So there are two of them, which is always good, and then there is the fourth. I mean, this is the first time that we can see it from four different angles, which I am again extremely grateful because I was asking if if it's gonna happen. I mean, if they come up with something new again, and it seems like they always come up with something new. Every single flight we see some new camera angles, new footages. I just love the camera team at SpaceX is doing an incredible job. I mean, name me one more company that can show
Hmm.
this. It's my mind is blown. I mean, honestly, it's incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so they are raising the bar even higher and higher every time. So
every single time.
there is no limit, I think.
No, no, no.
Next time, or I maybe the second or third next time, there will be I don't know an aircraft carrier just showing the returning ship. I don't know how they can raise even more the stake.
They will fly very close. Okay, before we move on from this topic, I need to show you two photos. So one is this one. Let's talk a little bit about the coloration, because we all assumed that on the left one on flight 10, most of the red color was coming from that one metallic tile. But this theory is not standing right now, right?
Mhm.
Or not
Yeah,
as
so
much. Yeah.
this time there weren't any metallic heat tiles, so the question is how it can be even, or how can be still rusty, and that's
Mhm.
because of the leaking, mainly the oxygen tank leak. So actually, as I mentioned, where there weren't any heat tiles, the hole was on one hand burned through, so the oxygen, the remaining oxygen could just come out from the main tank, or leaked from the main tank, better to say. And where weren't any heat tiles, actually the steel hull was oxidized, and that's what we can see on this photo.
Mhm.
And so the Starship wants to be like SLS or Space Shuttle anyway. So it doesn't matter if it has metallic tiles or not. It wants to uh, look like the old shuttle, or currently the SLS rocket.
Indeed, indeed. Again, what we talked about, this area, you see, there are
Yeah.
no pattern, this white pattern, because there were no removed tiles. Also, I would highlight particularly this area because I would say so. First of all, in here with flight 10, there was no such damage this time around, so that's great. I think
Hmm.
so. Nothing exploded. No small energetic events this time around, and also here it seems like a lot of tiles are missing. Kind of. Maybe it's
And
just the sun.
some aero cover parts are missing, not only heat tiles. So
Yes, yes, yes.
maybe we have
So,
a closer photo, are
oh yes, we do.
don't we?
Yes, yes, we do. Thank you for reminding me, because we are sort of prepared. Let me just find that real quick. Okay, so this is it, and I mean, just look at that here. This bit here. I mean,
And I
it's
mentally cheese would be jealous on this.
yes, it's kind of flapping a bit. Um, so yeah, so this area that I was referring to, and look, this bit here as
Hmm.
well. Here it's
Yeah, and below the three big, still bigger holes on
yeah.
the aero cover.
Oh yeah,
So
here
yeah.
and here. Yeah. So yeah, there are some damages for sure.
Mhm.
Is it crucial and critical? I don't think so. So I think a lot of people, and especially a lot of media, is missing the real point in here. That what are these tests about? Here they have the perfect opportunity to not just demonstrate the best case scenario, but they are going for the worst case scenarios. So they purposefully remove tiles and see how big the damage is it survives, so on and so forth. So it means that right now what we are seeing with block 1 and block 2 is that these second stages are extremely well built. No matter how we see it, if it went through the plasma phase without spinning, it made it down to the ocean
Mhm.
and landed. It doesn't matter how much damage it had. I'm not saying it's invincible, but definitely it had mega big problems. Like the flap nearly fell off and stuff like that. And look, it's two places it's leaking, the tanks, the main tanks. So I think other vehicles would say, okay, thank you. That's enough for me for today. Not Starship. Starship just saying, can you hold my beer? So it's
Yeah,
super cool. It's so cool.
and on the other hand, we shall not forget the angle of attack. Um, how to say? Yeah, the angle of attack.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it was much higher, I guess, as it should be normally, or at least I would think that that it will be much bigger angle of attack, which means it will be much more horizontal um, orientation in normal at normal case. But now,
So
as you
so
met,
just in numbers, it usually is like what 70, 80, 70-ish degrees.
I
But
don't want to
no, I'm
tell any
just
wrong
just
number.
roughly because right now it was nearly 90
So the
degrees
shuttle was about 45
or
degree, if I'm
45.
correct.
Okay, so it
Yeah,
much more horizontal than
yeah.
they were
So
doing it this time
the
around.
higher the degree, the more horizontal the exact ship or vehicles coming down. That
Oh, okay.
means the angle
Hmm.
of attack. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
the lesser, the more vertical it is.
Hmm. Hmm.
If I'm correct, but please, if I'm correct, then please correct me. But if yeah,
So
I think
so this is
that
what
it's
we
like
are
that.
referring. Yeah,
Mhm.
just in here, right here,
Yeah,
under yeah. So
and
this is the yeah
that's why maybe the F section was even more damaged,
yeah in here.
like at normal case, because the angle of attack was much smaller compared to a normal flight.
Yeah. So you can see that it's nearly upright. It's nearly
Yeah.
90 degrees. So it need well at the re-entry phase, it's kind of coming very steep.
Hmm.
So like standing, but not this much high up. Not because right now the lower section is getting a massive,
Yeah.
massive load, which in real time it will not, because it will point more nose forward. Um, yeah, it's so
Yeah, and
cool.
that's why maybe this time the nose was not so damaged, or
Mhm.
yeah, compared to flight 10, it was lesser damaged.
Yeah, to be honest, at Flight 10 it was up as well, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's almost
Um,
90 degrees as well.
mm,
That's why we were. That's when we pointed out for the first time that hold on for a second, what's going on? It's you remember at some point we were afraid that it will turn around and lose
yeah, just
control.
tipping over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, with the bottom forward, because it was so much near to 90 degrees that yeah, we kind of got worried about
And
that.
it's not healthy if you coming down with engine first.
No, definitely not. But again, these are tests, and as long as it's withstanding these forces, I think that's a big thumbs up for the team, big thumbs up for
Absolutely.
SpaceX, and especially after Flight 7, Flight 8, Flight 9.
Yeah.
They needed this so bad, this success, the validation of the design of the ship. Yes, it had massive problems, internal problems with the pogo vibration, but finally they got some feedback. And I got one more photo that I need to show you regarding to this topic. So if anybody knows history, so these are the bombers that were coming back to, I think, to England, and they were bombing in Europe. And a
Yeah.
lot of people were saying that okay, so they were focusing on the areas where the red dots are. Those are the bullet holes. And a lot of engineers were saying, no, 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 no. We need to focus and reinforce the ones that doesn't have a bullet hole, because it means that the planes they did not come back. Most likely they were hit in the bits that doesn't have a bullet hole.
Mm.
So this is, and I hope you can see the where I'm going with this. That's exactly what SpaceX is doing. They trying to find out where the weak points are, and they start focusing on those weak points. So I think a lot of people's faith is reinstated in SpaceX, and a lot of people are believers again. Hopefully,
Yes. Yeah,
yeah,
in an
great.
ideal world, these two flights should have been on flight 7 and flight 8, but
Yeah.
the life was going on a different path.
Yep.
So anyway, these two flights showed that maybe SpaceX found the way back,
Mhm.
and they are on a good way to moving forward, and they can looking forward to the next year with much more optimism as previously, like compared in
Um.
summertime at least. But I know there will be a pretty big generation change, and of course it means not only the numbers of the generations, but especially from inside there will be so many different solutions at the booster and at the ships as well. And of course, there is a big question mark about the Raptor 3, how it will perform. So yeah, and
To,
yeah,
to to
there
be to be fair, there is a pattern if you see with block one and block two. So they mess up the first two, three,
yeah.
and they epically improve. So let's hope this pattern is not continuing in 2026 with
Yeah,
block three.
yeah, because there is a, of course there is a the big question with only big letters. When will be the first ship catch attempt on or on which flight?
Before
And yet,
before we go on to that, let's
yeah.
just real quickly say goodbye for Pad One. I know
Ah,
you
okay.
mentioned, but I mean this is an epic development because this is the last time we've seen this construction in action, and actually I read on here and there that they already emptied the CO2 tanks that's used for the booster fire suppression system. So they already began the preparation for dismantling this.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. No, I
Because
mean, yeah, the
yeah, sorry.
bulldozers are not there yet, but with the wrecking ball. But yeah,
If you're asking me, I was expecting that right exactly after the flight 10, 11, everyone, the demolition guys will be just gathering around the OLM and they will just deconstruct as soon as possible. But yeah, only the
I,
tanks were just emptied. So the CO2 tanks and I guess the entire water deluge system was emptied. So the remaining water just um, emptied as well, not only the
Mhm.
CO2. But that's the only thing we could see in the last couple of days. So not so big activation or activities is around the OLM yet. So maybe they are not so in a big rush to demolish it.
Yeah. To be honest, I assume that they're gonna just demolish it in an IFT1 fashion. So
Yeah,
just dig
don't
it.
start the water there, Eugen.
Exactly. Just dig a
Job
hole
done.
with 33 Raptor engines. That's it. Half of the job is done.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of miss that the Raptor engines leave their watermark on the steel plate. I
Yeah,
mean,
that is
how mad
nice
is that?
pattern.
Yeah,
Yeah,
look at
and of course
it.
the how the static fires look like, and of course the launches or yeah the ignitions look like. So I will miss this site. So
I will not. To be fair, it's this is cool and it's done its job. But to be fair, I mean, let's just move on and let's do
yeah,
something
of course
more
that's
meaningful.
the right decision.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so let's look into the future. So, in the chat, some of our viewers were asking, so what's next? When Pad 2 will be ready? Just real quick.
Soon, in one word, pretty soon. Two words,
Two
pretty
words,
soon.
pretty soon, exactly.
But yeah, even more covers are on this big bunker or how to say. So and the QD arms are almost done. or almost finished. And but quite interesting. The last big piece is still missing. I mean, the ship QD. It's not installed yet on the tower. I don't know the reason behind, but at least what we can see on the ground, it's facing that direction. That maybe they are not so far from the finishing of this whole pet 2, and maybe just a couple of weeks and they are finished with that. Maybe if I want to risk it, then, or if I want to estimate, maybe until beginning of November they will be ready with that. But that's only my opinion.
To be honest,
Um,
I'm just thinking with the ship QD, it's actually it's not that necessary yet because even if the pad
that's
is
true.
ready,
Yeah.
even if the pad is ready, they're gonna do a booster fit check first, definitely. And even with the ignition and the tests and the first couple of,
Mhm.
uh, not just wet dress, but otherwise the relight, but the static fire tests, you don't need a ship for that yet. So they will have plenty of time to finish the ship QD.
But on the other hand, maybe they want to, or yeah, they would like to test the whole tanking system
Hmm.
at the same time. So the first stage system and the second stage system as well. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's up to them. But at
yeah.
least the OLM or the launch mount is in a pretty good shape. So yeah, the flame trench is ready. The bunker
It
is
looks
ready.
it looks pretty neat. It looks
Yeah,
tip
it
top
looks like a proper
already.
launch mount, not like OLM one.
Indeed.
So yeah, and a good question, and then because it's only the launch mount itself, but where is the booster and where is the ship? So the booster 18, which will be the first generation 3 booster, is still under construction in the Mega Bay 1, but at least we could see some parts coming out from the Star Factory last week. So there is the forward section coming out on one day, and on the other day one more section was coming out, and maybe just one four ring section is missing from the methane tank, and everything will be at least in the Mega Bay 2, so they have to weld it together only, of course only in Klama. So at least there is some progress, because for some weeks we couldn't see any work, at least from outside, with the booster 18, and maybe that was because of the B18.1 test article, with which they couldn't test for some weeks because of the reconstruction of the Messi's outpost. But since they are finishing with the reconstruction and the repair works, they could test many times again the B18.1, and maybe that's the solution, or that's the reason they could finally finishing the booster 18, because now they have the exact data, and maybe the booster the B18.1 has done its job, and it could withstand the forces they have tested with. So, and on the other hand, the ship 39, which will be the first next generation ship, we could see the nose cone coming out from the Star Factory with the payload bay, and but still they haven't used, or they haven't tested its test article. I mean the S39.1, which will be the ship test article. I don't know what are they doing with it currently, because it's since some weeks in the Mega Bay 2. Maybe they are still preparing it, but I think until they don't have the exact data from this test article, they don't start the entire ship stacking, because it would be maybe unnecessary to do this job, and after they are facing with a pretty big problem, for example structural problem, or I don't know what kind of problems. But what we could see in case of the booster, I guess that will be the pattern by the ship itself. So they want, or they have to test the test article first, then they could stack the first ship.
And proceed with the mass production, sort
Yeah,
of.
of course.
Yeah, in the chat, Ekage is saying limiting factor on Booster 18 is the engines. Have they
That's right.
arrived
Yeah.
yet? Yeah, that's a bottleneck as well. How they gonna proceed with Raptor 3s?
maybe the narrowest bottleneck currently, because
Hmm.
yeah, there was the serial number 39 in terms of Raptor 3 engine. That's the highest number they could see nowadays.
At
That
McGregor.
means, yeah, at McGregor, yeah. So
Hmm.
to be to be honest, I haven't seen any footage about Raptor 3 at the Starbase yet. So that means they are still under testing at McGregor, and after they are um, quite satisfied with the datas. After that, they can start the mass production and they can start to transport the first engines to the
Hmm.
Starbase, but it's still not there. So
Hmm.
that's why it's
Cool.
quite hard to estimate when can be the first booster. At least, I mean, the cryo test is a different story. So they maybe the booster 18 will be ready pretty soon, let's say in about 1 month or 3 weeks, and they can roll out to the masses without engines, of course. But with engine test, it's a totally different story.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So when the first Block 3 flight is imminent, in your opinion, and when the first ship catch?
Hmm.
Because that's what a lot of people want to know.
Flight 12, February, end of February, let's say. It's a quite optimistic, but maybe not so
But
unreal aim.
hmm
What do you
depending
think?
on many things, that
Of
how,
course.
yeah, how the booster and ship tests are going to
Yeah.
go. Um, okay, and
What do you
then
think, Sabi? What's your
no,
opinion about Flight 12?
I honestly, I don't know. I would like to see it obviously as soon as possible, but it's the uncertainty factor is pretty high. So there are
Mm,
so many things that can hold the development or hold it back. Yeah, sooner the better. We're gonna keep a close eye on it, and then we will see how the ship 39.1 gonna do. The tests, the boosters, the cryo tests, the fittings with the pad too. Everything is brand new now. So
sure.
this is definitely a new phase, a new era, just begun, and yeah, I don't know. Um, what I kind of more certain about is when the first orbital flight could happen,
Hmm.
because I can see so many people think flight 13 might be the one, but I just feel like it's too early for me. If flight 12 goes absolutely pitch perfect, which let's be honest, it a very small possibility. Still, I don't think that they could allow a starship to orbit, because if anything goes wrong and a ship remains and stuck on orbit, that's a big blow for SpaceX, and that's a risk way too big to take for SpaceX. Instead of just wait one more flight, make sure that everything works, relights, mainly relighting the engine, because that's the bottleneck with proving that it's flight worthy. And if it does two flawless relights of one Raptor engine, then I would let them do that, but no sooner, because if they get that wrong, then it will really bite back.
And I want to separate the orbital flight and the ship catch attempt, because, of course,
Yes,
one comes
yes.
from another. So without orbital flight, of course, the ship can't return to launch site, so it won't be a catch attempt. But I think even if there will be an orbital flight, let's say, if everything goes well on flight 13, I don't think so they will try to catch the ship already at on flight 13. So
This is bloody
even
space. Look, I mean, honestly,
Of course,
It,
there is a possibility, but I think there will be an orbital flight first, and after maybe on flight 14, there will be the first catch attempt.
you see, it's weird because now you are pessimistic and now I'm optimistic because it's usually the other way around.
I
Look,
wouldn't say
I tell you
pessimism, but
why. I tell
yeah,
you
okay.
why. I think if they go orbit, they will have two flights with the ship. Well, with the booster as well, but with the ship. So it means theoretically they will have two landing with the ship, and they will see how accurately it can land. And I think if it goes on orbit, that will be the third flight. And if it lands within like that 3 meter accuracy that it's keep on landing since the ships are coming back and doing it, I think they just go for it. They have the
Mhm.
the plan B if just like with the booster, if it's not going right, they would just let it smash into the water and that's it.
Yeah,
So
that's right. Mhm.
I think if it goes orbit, they would definitely gonna try it.
Yeah, that's why we are looking forward quite with big excitement to
Absolutely.
2026 because these are quite interesting questions, and
Yes.
maybe there will be answers as soon as possible. But
Yes.
first, the flight 12 has to be 100% perfect. So
Absolutely.
that's for sure. If there is something problem with the ship, then it depends what kind of and how big the problem will be. But yeah, hopefully these kind of structural problems are done are or at least faced with, and there won't be any so big problems with the ship. Maybe there will be minor problems, but it won't be let's say a roadblock for SpaceX to have a much more successful year next year, uh, as 2025 will be, because
Mhm, mhm.
it's quite disappointing this year anyway, even with these two successful flights at the end.
Yeah. 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 Definitely. I think I can see that Joseph Garrett that have to be aggressive. Um, I guess with with the tests and the flights. I think this is what SpaceX is doing now. They are juggling. They try to be aggressive, but if they get this wrong, then they're gonna hurt themselves way more
Yeah,
than helping themselves. So
yeah,
yes,
maybe they learned that lesson in the beginning of 2025.
yes, um,
I want to I want to think so.
yes. I mean, yeah, 2025 was sucking. It's just it's just
Eh.
not it's not a good year for sure. Flight
Yeah,
7, Flight 8, and the ship 36 blow up. When it blew up, that I think these three occasions, yeah, they did not serve any good. But probably they meant to happen like this. I'm actually glad. It sounds weird, but I'm really glad that the COPV issue came out that early and not with a fully fueled Starship on the pad,
mm,
on the launch pad, because that would be cataclysmic and the setback, the scale of the setback is unimaginable if that COPV goes kaboom when it's fully fueled. So they
better
pay
not to
now
talk
more than
about it.
yeah. Okay. I think we run out of time. So yeah,
Yes, it
yeah,
seems.
yeah. So next week, according to the plans, next week we will be back. So if you like this kind of conversations in our poor English, then please join us and let's think together. But in the meantime, definitely Tuesdays and Fridays, tune in here to this channel to watch Felix and the regular episodes, weekly episodes. There's a 24/7 camera that you can watch tuned to Starbase. And if you want to rewatch us, then you can do it on What About It Plus, because these episodes they are going to be uploaded again. And I think without further ado, we're just gonna wave goodbye, and let's hope that we don't have to wait that long. Probably there won't be that many news regarding to Starship, but we're gonna cover it and follow it because the Pad B is now the focus, and we're gonna see Pad 1 disappear or transform. It's a transformation.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for being here with us, and we see you soon next week. Up until then, just have a lovely week. Take care of yourselves, and keep watching. What about it? Take care, guys. See you.
See you next week. Bye bye.
Bye bye.